Part 26. I Can Break the Dimensional Wall. Author, Zhozhezi Jumiao. Chapter 252. At this time, Syaruo had already walked to Okino Yoko with a cup of warm coffee. Miss Okino Yoko, are you okay? Let's have something to drink. Mr. Mori is here, the matter will be resolved soon, don't worry. Because Okino Yoko was still shaking and looked scared, Syaruo subconsciously wanted to comfort her. After all, this may be the first time she has seen a corpse, and the corpse still appeared in her room, so it is normal to be afraid. Hearing Syaruo's voice, Okino Yoko raised her head and looked at the slightly handsome young man. She didn't expect that when she met the corpse and everyone was nervous, there would be someone to comfort her. She remembered that this young man seemed to be following the Maori detective, and his name was Syaruo. Mr. Syaruo, thank you. Okino Yoko took the coffee from Syaruo's hand and put it in the palm of her hand. She found that the coffee was still warm, and there was a warm feeling coming from the palm of her hand. Okino was a little surprised. It's still hot, did you just buy it? Yeah, I bought it at the convenience store downstairs. This is a high-end community, and there happens to be hot coffee, Syaruo responded with a smile, as if she hadn't done anything. Mr. Syaruo is really a caring person. And being comforted by Syaruo, Okino Yoko was not so scared anymore. She took a sip of hot coffee, and her body felt warm. The fear has dissipated quite a bit. At this moment, on the other side of the room, Tom was leaning against the wall to rest. God knows how he gestured to the bald boss when he went down to buy coffee, and the boss sold him coffee. Tired? Is Mr. Syaruo an assistant for the Maori detective? During the time waiting for the police to come, Okino Yoko had nothing to do, so he started chatting with Syaruo. Yeah, I'm learning detective skills with Mr. Mao Li. Syaruo took a can of coffee and took a sip. That's amazing. I think detectives are very handsome people, Yoko Okino said, and glanced at Syaruo. By the way, Mr. Syaruo, as a detective, did you find any clues? Yoko Okino just asked casually, and she didn't think the young man in front of her could say it. After all, the other party had hardly seen the scene. Syaruo glanced at the direction of the corpse. At this moment, Conan was still observing something around the corpse. If I'm not mistaken, this is not a homicide, but a suicide. The deceased is just pretending to be a homicide, trying to frame others. Suicide. At this time, Xiaolan also walked to Syaruo's side, and she also heard what Syaruo said, that the deceased committed suicide. But Xiaolan was always on the scene. She noticed that Conan had spared a few laps, and she hadn't deduced the truth yet. She didn't expect Syaruo to see it so soon. Could it be that Syaruo's reasoning level is better than Conan's? Mr. Syaruo, did that person really commit suicide? After Syaruo noticed Xiaolan, she didn't answer her directly, but took out another can of hot coffee and handed it to Xiaolan. Xiaolan, you are thirsty too, I bought it for you too. Thanks. Xiaolan was stunned for a moment, took the coffee as well, and held it in her palm. At this time, Conan is looking for clues wholeheartedly, but some key evidence has not been found. For some reason, Conan suddenly wanted to see what Syaruo was doing, and when he looked up, Conan saw Syaruo sharing coffee and chatting with the girls. Conan. This guy is really not a good person. Conan felt that his previous reasoning might be wrong. This guy is definitely not a detective. Conan looked in Tom's direction again, and found that the cat was lying on the ground on all fours, looking the same as at home, just like a normal lazy cat. Sure enough, he had to solve the case by himself, but Conan still lacked some clues to solve the secret room murder case. Not long after, the police finally arrived, and this time it was the familiar police officer Meguer, who greeted Mori Kogora as soon as he arrived. It had been a while since the deceased died, and Syaruo noticed that there seemed to be a black mist gathering on the dead body. It's just that, Except for myself, no one saw the black mist floating from the corpse. As time went by, the black mist became thicker and thicker, and bad things seemed to be brewing in it. Syaruo frowned. Is this going to be transformed into a corpse? Syaruo thinks that the world of Conan is becoming more and more interesting. Japan itself has a strong ghost culture, and so many people have died in the world of Conan, so Syaruo is not very surprised that such things as wraiths will appear. The black mist grew bigger and bigger, and Syaruo also focused on the black mist, as if something in the black mist might come out at any time. But other people can't see the black mist, so Conan is still boldly looking for evidence to solve the case, and it is getting more and more excessive, and even his hands are about to touch the corpse. Boom! Xiaolan finally couldn't bear it anymore, and punched Conan on the head. There is no way, the police are here, and Conan is still going too far. Xiaolan is worried that Conan will be exposed. This punch is to make Conan restrain himself. Kids, just be honest with me. Conan stepped back with a big bag on his head, but during this period of time, he had already understood the truth. There was no murderer in this secret room murder. The deceased committed suicide, but in order to frame Yoko Okino, he pretended to be a homicide. But in order to tell the truth, Conan needs a channel to speak out. Quite naturally, Conan set his sights on Kogoro Mori. I'm sorry, uncle. During this period, Conan Seong, who had not yet obtained the anesthesia watch, kicked the ashtray on the table away, and knocked Mori Kogoro unconscious with the ashtray in front of everyone. That's right, an ashtray. Syaruo watched clearly from the side, and even recorded it with her mobile phone. It's terrible. If Conan is not the protagonist, this ashtray is enough to kill people. The animation really dares to draw like this. Maybe Conan is really full of disappearing skills. In front of so many police officers and suspects in the room, as well as the boy detective team, Conan really knocked out Mori Kogoro, and then used his voice to solve the case. However, because the attention has been on Conan, Xiaolan has seen all of this. Xiaolan listened to Conan pretending to be her father's voice, and then solved the case naturally. Xiaolan's fists were tightly clenched together, and the veins on her fists burst. Conan, are you trying to kill someone's father with such a heavy hand? Xiaolan has decided that she will find an opportunity to teach Conan a lesson. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Zhiwai. Chapter 253. Conan restored the whole incident in front of everyone through the voice of Mori Kogoro. The deceased was Yoko Okino's ex-boyfriend. He broke up with him, but wanted to get back together with Yoko Okino. Finally, because of some misunderstandings, he committed suicide at Yoko Okino's home. He even pretended to commit suicide, just to frame Yoko Okino. The moment the case was solved, the black mist on the corpse also erupted, and the condensed black mist slowly became a reality, and a ghost figure that was 7 or 8% similar to the deceased appeared above the corpse. At this time, the people present still couldn't see the ghost. Yoko Okino. The ghost suddenly flew towards Yoko Okino, but Yoko Okino couldn't see it at all, and couldn't feel the coming crisis. Snapped. The moment the black shadow was about to attack Yoko Okino, Syaruo suddenly appeared in front of Yoko Okino, and slapped the ghost away with a slap. The guy who looked like an evil spirit was slapped away by Syaruo with the power of reality. So weak. Syaruo didn't expect that the resentful spirits that had been condensed for so long were only of this level, even inferior to the low-level monsters in the world of Inuyasha. However, the moment he killed Wraith, it seemed that something had entered his body. Mr. Syaruo? Yoko Okino looked at Syaruo in front of her in a strange way. She didn't know why Syaruo would suddenly run in front of her. However, Syaruo didn't answer her. At this time, Syaruo completely focused on her body, wanting to see what exactly entered her body just now. At this time, the system also sent a notification tone. Ding. Solve one low-level vengeful spirit, and get a piece of Conan's world plot, please check it. Plot segment. Although I don't know what the plot is, but now is not the time to investigate this. The system seems to have reminded me that there will be extra rewards for this time travel. It seemed that what had just entered his body was that extra reward. There was no accident after that, and no other evil spirits appeared except for the weak chicken ghost who was shot to death by Syaruo. This time the case ended perfectly just like the original. In the end, Kogoro Mori received all the credit for solving the case, and this case became the first case of the sleeping Kogoro. On the way home, Xylan slapped Conan so hard that he didn't know why. "Sister Xylan, why do you still hit me?" Conan was really wronged at this time, he didn't know what he did wrong. "Humph, Conan, who made you run around the scene of the case? I saw you almost touched the corpse, how could a child do such a thing?" Naturally, Xylan couldn't tell the truth, so she just made up an excuse. Of course, Xylan was also afraid that Conan's actions would be so obvious that her identity would be exposed. "Haha, what Xylan said is right, Conan, you'd better be careful not to be cursed by dead bodies. If you are entangled by resentful spirits, it's not so easy to solve." Syaruo also helped Xylan speak. Although the resentful spirit that appeared this time was easily resolved, Syaruo didn't know what strange things would happen in the future. "Hee, the resentful spirit can also deceive children, there are no ghosts in this world." Conan glanced at Syaruo speechlessly. Snapped. Ran punched Conan again. "Aren't you a child?" Conan covered the bag on his head and wanted to cry. Why did Xylan suddenly become so violent? Seeing Xylan bullying Conan, Syaruo suddenly felt very happy. Xylan didn't know Conan's identity before, but now that everyone knows that he is Shinichi, Xylan will naturally not treat Conan as politely as a child. When we got back to the Maori office, it was already midnight. Syaruo went back to her room directly and began to check the rewards she got. On the prompt panel of the system, Syaruo saw a piece of information. Plot fragment of Conan World, idol murder case. Syaruo searched for a long time, and finally found this reward from the USB flash drive she got before. This plot segment is actually a video. Syaruo looked at it, and the episode rewarded by the system was exactly what Syaruo experienced just now, and it looked exactly the same as the fanfic video I got before. Among them, Conan solves the case, Xylan watches Conan solve the case, Mori Kogoro is knocked unconscious by the ashtray, and he is drinking hot coffee with Okino Yoko. No, this plot segment should be different from the fan video. Since the system gave other explanations, there must be something different. Syaruo looked for the difference between this plot segment and the video of the same person, and then found its introduction behind the plot segment. After a little research, Syaruo found that the only difference between this video and the Doujin video is that this animation plot can be embedded in the game. In other words, this plot segment is not just a video, but also a game that allows players to participate in it in person. It seems that Syaruo developed a virtual game helmet, the world line began to change, and the system began to be upgraded. Now it is no longer a fan video. Fan games also appeared. However, this reward is only available in the Conan world, and it seems to be a unique reward for this world. After discovering such an interesting thing, Syaruo suddenly lost her sleepiness. Syaruo directly returned to the real world, and then tried to add the plot segment to the virtual reality game. This plot segment itself is a game, so it was added without any hindrance. Syaruo found a client called Detective Conan on the virtual helmet, and clicked to enter the game. The technology of the virtual helmet is a very mature technology, so the feeling of entering is almost exactly the same as the personal experience. In the game, Syaruo found that there is only one level in this game, which is the idol killing incident, and there are no other options besides this. So Syaruo chose the idol murder incident and entered the game. After entering the game, Sioruo found that her body had become smaller, and there was an extra pair of glasses in front of her eyes. After all, it was a virtual reality, and entering the game was like time traveling. And it's still the type of soulware. This is already in the game. I became Conan. For some reason, Sioruo found this game very interesting. However, Sioruo suddenly heard a familiar voice. Conan, I heard that you are very popular in your class. There is a little girl named Ayumi who has been following you. Is it true? The moment Sioruo heard this voice, Sioruo felt her scalp go numb. Because that voice was his own. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 254. Sioruo raised her head, and met the eyes of Sioruo in the Conan game, looking at herself. This kind of face-to-face feeling really has a special weird feeling. But the good thing is that the game is different from my usual time travel. What I see in the game is the same two-dimensional image as in the animation, not a real person. After all, this is a game, not the real world. It's just that this feeling of traveling to the second dimension is unexpected and interesting. Moreover, there are language choices in the setting of this plot segment, and you can choose between Chinese and Japanese. What are you looking at me for? Sioruo in the second dimension touched her face and looked at Conan suspiciously. At this moment, an idea suddenly popped up in Sioruo's mind. The self in this game should be the same as the real self, so if he finds out that Conan has been timed at this time, will he kill me? Just when Sioruo was thinking this way, the doorbell rang suddenly. Ding dong. As Sioruo had experienced before, Mori Kogoro went to open the door, and it was Okino Yoko who came in. Miss Okino Yoko, it's really Miss Okino Yoko. Mori Kogoro shouted. Really, why did the idol come to our house? Xiaolan also came out from the side, and said in surprise. Hello, I have something to ask the famous detective. Okino Yoko also bowed politely. I have experienced everything today, and I saw it in the game, and the visual sense is still very serious. Sioruo, as Conan in the game at this time, was very silent at this time, and did not make too many unnecessary actions. In order to understand the content of the game, Sioruo followed the plot and came to Okino Yoko's apartment in a car. In the apartment, with Yoko Okino screaming, the body was found. The plot officially begins. And Sioruo's game character Conan also received the task. Mission: as a famous detective with a smaller body, please deduce the truth without exposing yourself within the specified time, and make people convincing. After the task was released, a countdown timer appeared in Sioruo's vision. I should have guessed it. The mission is for me to solve this case as Conan. Sioruo thinks the game made by the system this time is quite interesting. Although Conan is broadcast now, anyone who has watched Conan knows the truth of this case, which is equivalent to giving you a standard answer, and you just need to copy it. But there is still a unique sense of accomplishment to solve the case by myself. It allows players to personally experience the feeling of a primary school student detective, and the excitement of solving a case secretly, which is a feeling that cannot be experienced in reality. This game is, in essence, a time-traveling game. Sioruo took a closer look at the details of the game, and found that everyone at the scene, Mori Kogoro, Xiaolan, Okino Yoko, and the manager, seemed to have extremely high intelligence, almost indistinguishable from real people. However, when approaching, Sioruo still got a reminder that he could not attack. It seems that as a player, there are still certain restrictions. Sioruo found that, as Conan, she could only act on the apartment floor where Yoko Okino lived, that is, near the case. If she wanted to leave too far, there would be a reminder to limit her progress. And as Conan, Making an outrageous reaction will also trigger the corresponding plot. For example, if you approach the corpse and act out of a child, Xylan will come and knock you, and the police will stop your actions. More importantly, Syaruo turned her head and glanced at Syaruo, who was drinking hot coffee and chatting with Yoko Okino. At this time, as Conan, Syaruo can only display the strength of Conan's elementary school students in the game, but through Syaruo's keen intuition, Syaruo can feel how dangerous it is to be drinking hot coffee. And Tom, who is lounging on the sidelines. These two should be the strongest existence in this world. Huh. Syaruo let out a breath. The setting of this game is really interesting. Although it is only the first scene, the idol murder case, this is a suicide case, and there is no murderer. As long as you knock out Mori Kogoro, and then use props to tell the truth, you can complete the task. But if it is other plots in the later period, if you encounter a dangerous case, or if you commit suicide and encounter danger, as long as you hide by the side of Syaruo and Tom, you can be absolutely safe. It is equivalent to the safe zone around Tom and Syaruo. Of course, if he angered Syaruo and Tom, he probably wouldn't end well. This game is really more exciting than fan videos. Syaruo can even imagine how her reputation will skyrocket when the game is released, with more episodes. Syaruo remembered that the viewers who watched fans always liked to criticize, and there were also some who liked to spray their scumbags on bullet screens. At this time, if they really met and touched each other, they would probably kneel and lick themselves. Thinking of this, the corners of Syaruo's mouth slightly raised. As for doing it yourself in this fan game, spray yourself. Syaruo looked back at Syaruo, who was drinking hot coffee. Probably that guy would let those trolls know what real cruelty is. Syaruo has decided that this game can be set at a minimum of 50% pain, and there must be a price to pay for dying. The observation of the game is almost the same. Syaruo is also ready to officially clear the game. When Mori Kogoro began to identify the prisoner at will, and when the countdown to the task was about to end, Syaruo picked up the ashtray on the table, grasped the force, and smashed it at Mori Kogoro. Bang! Mori Kogoro fell to the ground in response, and then fell on a sofa very cooperatively, and posed a handsome pose. And Conan, played by Syaruo, also hid behind the sofa and began to use the Bonot voice changer to solve the case. Very conveniently, there is a special Mori Kogoro voice mode on the voice changer, which seems to be for the convenience of players. That's right, the prisoner is Mr. Teng Zhang himself, who has died. Syaruo's memory is quite good. He memorized all the details that Conan said in solving the case just now. Under Syaruo's reasoning, the case was solved soon. After the case is over, the game is officially cleared. Clearance completed, evaluation 80 points, score A. Score A can unlock the next story. The next story has not yet been released, so stay tuned. After clearing the level, Syaruo quit the game, but for the test, Syaruo played it again, but in the second week, Syaruo was not as honest as the first week. In the second week, Syaruo started to die and did some actions that did not fit Conan's personality, such as teasing Xylan with words, flicking Tom's balls with his fingers, and then provoking the self in the game. Then, was killed. Abnormally true, I was killed by myself. Syaruo felt that when he raised the knife in the game, the scarlet eyes and the murderous aura that escaped were really scary. When dying, a prompt also appears in the game. Small reminder, if the player makes a move to expose the player's identity in the game will stop immediately, and the player will also be punished by death. Judging from this reminder, it's not that he is too cruel, but that the player who reveals his identity will die, but Syaruo in the game has become the person who executes the death penalty. The scarlet eyes should have entered a certain state. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 255. After testing the game, Syaruo slightly modified some of the details, and then directly promoted and released it. For the sake of reputation, Sciarruo did not charge for this Detective Conan game. Of course, the more people playing this game, the better. In the future, if there are more episodes, you can use a charging model to unlock new episodes. Of course, these are issues to be considered in the future. Sciarruo just wants to upload it now to see the reaction of the game. Of course, the publicity about the game will naturally have to keep up. However, what Sciarruo didn't expect was that on the day the game was released, the skyrocketing reputation made him directly upgrade to LV4. Yuhua was the first host to live broadcast a virtual game last time, because there were not many virtual helmets released at that time, and he was the first to live broadcast, so taking advantage of this popularity, his number of fans has almost doubled or tripled, and now the number of fans there are already more than 1 million. Although in the following period of time, the virtual helmets of the Rising Company continued to increase production and release, but they were always sold out in the first place. Many of them are even bought by foreign players, and the supply has been in short supply, so there are still many players who want to play virtual games without helmets. Because of the technology that Sciarruo brought out from the animation, today's virtual reality has slowly entered people's lives. Today, Yuhua is still preparing to live broadcast virtual games, and is preparing to play Minecraft online with his friends from the internet addict girl who he knew before. Now they are already accumulating supplies and preparing to fight the Ender Dragon. However, after the live broadcast started today, Yuhua was attracted by several bullet screens. A new virtual game has emerged, hurry up and watch it. Live stream new game. Seeing these bullet screens, Yuhua was a little moved. He immediately clicked on the avatar of the official account of Rise, and then, he saw the relevant information about the new game in the latest news. The background picture of the game is the two-dimensional image of Conan and Sciarruo. The two are close together and seem to have a good relationship. And at the bottom of the background image, there is a conspicuous slogan written. Want to travel to the second dimension? Come travel, and together with Sciarruo, solve strange cases as a famous detective. Below the slogan is the game link of Detective Conan. The new game is a virtual two-dimensional game. That's right, Rise is an animation company after all. However, isn't Rise doing fan animations? Why did you start playing fan games again? Yuhua didn't know what Rising was thinking, but as long as it was a game, he wanted to try it, let alone a new virtual game. Now on the market, Rising Company's virtual game production technology far surpasses other game companies, so the games that can be played by virtual headsets are all produced by Rising, and the number is really too small. Yuhua suddenly received a message, that is his friend on MC, it seems that he also downloaded this game and started playing. Without hesitation, Yuhua downloaded the new game Detective Conan. Detective Conan is the latest animation that has been aired since its rise, because of its good content and its reputation. Yuhua has also watched this animation, and is still following it. Naturally, he knows the content of the animation. It is an animation in which a high school student turns into a primary school student to solve a crime. Grandpas of the audience, today I will broadcast a new game for you, the latest virtual game, I guess you must have never seen it, Detective Conan, the official animation game. Oh, by the way, many of you don't even have virtual helmets now. Yuhua said braggingly to the audience in the live broadcast room. At this time, the live broadcast room had been open for a while, more and more viewers poured in, and the barrage became denser. Show off dog, when the helmet is in stock, I will definitely be able to buy it next time. The day I get the helmet is the time when labor and management will cancel you. Hurry up and broadcast live. I can't wait to watch it. I heard that you can really travel through animations. I can't play it now. I can only watch your live broadcast to enjoy myself. The game of Detective Conan looks very fun, and it must be very cool to play this game holographically. I really like watching Conan, can I go in and see Xylan? Hwaze, don't play it. My friend played it. He said it's a horror game. He's been killed several times. He still can't turn off the pain. Now he has psychological shadows. Hwaze, be careful Syoruo. Be careful Syoruo. Hurry up and check the official message, the people who were hacked to death by Syoruo are almost a train away. Yuhua. Don't scare me, I'm timid. Yuhua saw the barrage reminder, he really hesitated for a moment when he was about to start the game. In the past, when developing new games, he always broadcast live directly, because the newly released game did not have a strategy. Although the Wasteland development was tiring, it was quite interesting. However, Yuhua still panicked after seeing the bullet screen reminding him. Holographic games are different from ordinary games. They are really scary when they are scary, the kind that can scare people to death. When I was playing MC before, I was chased by zombies in the wild. It really didn't feel the same as playing games on a computer screen. If it's really the same as what's said in the barrage, this game is a horror game that can't turn off pain, then it's true. It's a little scary. Yuhua finally looked at the full screen of reminder barrages, and he went to open the official comment area to take a look. Sure enough, the bottom of the official comment section was full of players hacked to death by Syoruo. Those who were hacked to death by Syoruo gathered here. Brother Ruo, please show mercy. I have been hacked to death 3 times, and now my neck still hurts. It's really too cruel. Didn't I just spray you? Are you so narrow-minded? It's really too cruel not to be able to turn off the pain, and you don't even let a child go, Syoruo, you have no heart. Is there anyone who was shot to death by Tom? They are gathered here. Ask me, what did you do to be shot to death by Tom? In the hot comments, many of them were complaining about being hacked to death by Syoruo. However, Yuhua still found some skills of this game in some comments. 1. You can't do something that doesn't fit your identity, or you will be cut off in the neck. 2. Don't anger Syoruo and Tom, otherwise they will be chopped off. 3. You can pass the customs if you solve the case. In fact, these skills can no longer be called skills. Basically, as long as you play normally, you will not be killed, and there is no difficulty. After reading the comments, Yuhua felt that those players who were hacked to death should have killed themselves. Thinking of this, he breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay, it seems that as long as you don't kill yourself, this game is not too scary, Yuhua said to the live broadcast camera. After speaking, he turned on the live broadcast mode and chose to enter the client side of the Detective Conan game. Yuhua has used the virtual helmet many times, so he is familiar with the way when entering. After entering, some game opening screens will be played first. The opening animation of the game is some fragments of Conan's animation. Like Conan's animation, the opening plot introduces the background of the story. It is the classic plot where Conan became smaller because he ran into a black-clothed organization transaction. However, before entering the game, a line of big blood characters appeared in the game, making the game screen a bit gloomy. Players under the age of 18 are not allowed to enter this game. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 256. Players under the age of 18 are not allowed to enter this game. The scarlet blood characters appeared in front of his eyes. Yuhua had seen this kind of reminder in many games before, but seeing it in the holographic game, he still felt a little depressed. Although he was a little scared, he still entered the game, and the anchor naturally couldn't be cowardly in front of the audience. When confirming to enter the game, there is also a pain option. In this game, the pain can only be adjusted to 30% at the bottom and 60% at the highest. This is also set by Syoruo. After all, Syoruo still has some conscience. He tried it before, and the pain of 50% is still too much for some players, so it was reduced to 30% in the end. Of course, he is also afraid of some exciting audiences. I have been looking for abuse and accidents, so the highest pain sensation has also been reduced. Yuhua looked at the lowest 30% pain perception and scratched his head unconsciously. He is a little afraid of pain. He didn't expect that this game really can't turn off pain. He doesn't want to pretend to be stupid and get hacked. It seems that the game must be serious in the future, and it is best to pass the level once. Yuhua doesn't think he can't clear the level. After all, he is live broadcasting now, and the virtual helmet has the function of enabling bullet chatting. In the game, he can also see the reminder of bullet chatting. There are a lot of tricks in the bullet screen. Don't panic after you get stuck. Check the bullet screen to see if there is a reminder in the bullet screen. You can usually find the secret to clear the level. This is the rich experience summed up by Yuhua's previous live games. Of course, there are also people who trick the anchor into fishing in the bullet screen, and at this time, I have to rely on my rich experience. After a few seconds, Yuhua has turned into Conan and came to the world of Conan. After completely entering the game, Yuhua was shocked. This game is really the same as time travel. Yuhua saw the extremely detailed two-dimensional world around him, and felt a kind of shock from the bottom of his heart. Unlike MC's Mosaic of all things, the holographic game is really too detailed, even if everything around it, including the characters, is a two-dimensional image, but when you look at it, there is no sense of disobedience. Xiaolan, Xiaoruo, and Tom, this game, if it says that I have really traveled to Conan now and came to the world of Detective Conan, I will believe it. Yuhua watched the characters around him that could only be seen through animation appear alive in front of him, and couldn't help admiring in his heart. At this time, the barrage also exploded. Wow, Huazi, you have really time traveled. This game is amazing. I must play this game. I also want to time travel. I want to see Xiaolan. At this moment, it is difficult for me to use ordinary language to describe my mood. There are only two words: beautiful. Huazi, go and see Tom. I want to see Tom up close. Don't worry, Yuhua said to the barrage. However, Yuhua obviously forgot that he can't act inappropriately in the game, otherwise he will attract the attention of the boss. What were you talking about just now? At this moment, Xiaoruo looked at Yuhua suspiciously. Although Yuhua's voice was very low just now, Xiaoruo's keen hearing still heard Yuhua's voice. Ah, nothing. Being fixed on by Xiaoruo's eyes, Yuhua instantly felt a huge pressure, and even his back felt a little chilly. Yuhua has seen all the colleagues of Rising, and knows Xiaoruo's identity. Because of this, Yuhua will be nervous when facing Xiaoruo. The one in front of me is the real protagonist in the Rising animation, the son of the Rising animation, the real boss, and even the protagonists in other animations, who can serve as a stepping stone for Xiaoruo. It can be seen from the fact that Xiaoruo chopped off the neck of the heroine of Shield Mother. In the world of Conan, Xiaoruo is a Superman. Yuhua even knew that it would probably take less than a second for Xiaoruo to slash his own neck. This feeling is really amazing. I really saw the characters in the animation face to face. It is completely different from the screen when watching fan animations before. People can really kill you. At this time, the barrage had already started to make noise, all of which were for Yuhua to provoke Xiaoruo. Huazi, Xiaoruo is too arrogant. You, a traveler, are afraid of what he will do. Deal with him. Indeed, you were scared just now. What are you afraid of? Him. The big deal is to restart the game. Just a game. How can we players be afraid of a game character? Yes, defeat Xiaoruo and get Tom back. Tom is ours. Huazi, Xiaoruo's swordsmanship is very powerful, but not invincible. Have you forgotten the skills taught by the martial arts teacher in the MC? When he comes up to chop you later, you can shovel him. That's right. If the sliding shovel doesn't work, You can dodge his first strike, then go around behind him and lock his throat, and he will definitely suffocate to death. Yuhua watched these barrages pass before his eyes, and the corners of his mouth twitched. My group of viewers really want to see themselves die. If it was normal, Yuhua would want to spray the barrage directly back, but now that Xiaoruo is sitting on the sofa beside him, Yuhua dare not talk to the barrage spray on. For the time being, the plot didn't start, so Yuhua approached Tom, who was resting at the side. Yuhua likes Tom very much, and knows that Tom is usually more well-behaved, so Yuhua stepped forward to touch Tom. Tom also saw Yuhua's movements, but Tom didn't react. It was just being slapped, he was used to it, and Tom didn't bother to move. Yuhua put his hand on Tom's body. I touched Tom. The moment Yuhua touched Tom, he really felt the feeling that he was interacting with the two-dimensional character. Only this game can become a god. At this time, the barrage in the live broadcast room was sour, and Tom's fans went crazy. Touching Tom on the spot, this kind of cross-dimensional thing can actually be done. Conan, why, you like Tom too, and you clearly said you didn't like Tom before. Xiaolan walked over from the side and said to Yuhua. Yuhua raised his head and looked at Xiaolan. Sister Xiaolan. What's the matter, Conan, why are you acting weird today? Xiaolan looked at Yuhua strangely. I don't know why, seeing all this is the same as in the animation. Yuhua feels that he is not playing a game, but in a real world. Not long after, the plot finally began. Okino Yoko came to the Maori office for help, and everyone rushed to Okino Yoko's apartment, where a murder was discovered. Yuhua also knows that the condition for clearing the game this time is to solve the case as Conan himself. After all, he was also a technical anchor before, and he has a unique talent in customs clearance. Although Yuhua didn't remember the plot of the animation very clearly, but with the reminder of the bullet screen, Yuhua spent some effort and still successfully solved the case. Because Yuhua acted more carefully, and did not trigger the achievement of getting his neck chopped off by Xiaoruo. After all, Xiaoruo would turn a blind eye to solve the case. Today there is only one chapter, and passing is the end. After exiting the game, Yuhua did not take off the helmet, but continued to lie on his bed, but the helmet was still connected to the internet, so the live broadcast did not end. Facing the barrage in front of him that was still asking him how he felt about clearing the game, Yuhua, who was lying on the bed, was still in a daze at this moment. Everything in the game before seemed very illusory. This game feels like a dream. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 257. After the release of the virtual game, Xiaoruo's reputation has grown explosively. Today's level has reached LV4, and her physical attributes have also been greatly enhanced. Xiaoruo, LV4, 1200/50,000. Talent, Body of Reality LV4, Power of Reality LV3. Real Body LV4, you who come from the real world are different, and you with a real body can reduce some of the attack damage caused by the fantasy world. Power of Reality LV3, Break the Illusion. Every time she upgrades, Xiaoruo's physical fitness will improve a lot, and the talents given by the system will also be upgraded. Among other things, the talent of Reality Body has been upgraded several times, and now it has reached a terrifying level. In order to test her current physical strength, Xiaoruo picked up a fruit knife and slashed at her arm. However, there was no normal feeling of a knife cutting into the flesh, and there was no bleeding. When the fruit knife scratched his arm, it was as if it was scratching on the tough cowhide, and it couldn't cut through at all. Xiaoruo used a little force, and the fruit knife slowly drew a light white mark on the arm. Estimated to be level 5. At that time, Even ordinary firearms should not be able to cause harm to me. Sioruo is very satisfied with the passivity of this body. General low-level damage is almost immune. Moreover, during this period of time in Conan's world, Sioruo discovered a very interesting thing, that is, there is indeed a problem with Conan's timeline. The world of Conan is not a normal world mode at all, and there are many unexplainable bugs in it, and time is one of them. Sioruo adjusted the flow rate between Conan's world and the real world. After the ability of time flow rate is upgraded, Sioruo can adjust the maximum time flow rate ratio to 16:1. That is to say, under normal circumstances, only 2 days have passed in the real world for 1 month in Conan's world. However, Sioruo found that this was not the case. The world of Conan does not have cases every day, and there are usually free time. Sioruo spent about half a month in the world of Conan, and then went home. Sioruo found that only a few hours had passed by her home. This terrifying speed of time really scared Sioruo. Sioruo suddenly thought of a question: if Conan doesn't end, he will live in this world with his family, and he doesn't even need to take the elixir of life, which is directly equivalent to immortality. Always loop within the same year. Of course, this matter is just a thought, but the flow rate of Conan's world is still useful. Sioruo plans to build a base in the world of Conan, so that no matter what she does in the future, she will have plenty of time. One day, Mori office. What? Medieval armor can walk. Conan couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth when he heard Xylan talking about this matter with great interest. That's right, it was said by the staff of the art gallery. The news has already spread nearby. It seems very interesting. Let's go to that art gallery to have a look. Seeing that Conan didn't seem to believe it, Xylan immediately told what she knew. Ha ha ha, Xylan, this kind of news sounds like a fake news released by the staff of the art museum to attract tourists, but you actually took it seriously. Mori Kogora couldn't help laughing. That's right, Sister Xylan, it sounds like a lie to children. Conan also added fuel and vinegar to the side. Anyway, he would not believe the nonsense that the armor can walk by itself. I think it's quite interesting, you can go and see it. Sioruo remembered this case. It seemed that the curator of the art museum killed people wearing armor. It would be good to go and have a look. Xylan glared at her father and Conan. Look at you two, only teacher Sioruo supports me. Why is there such a big difference in life? Teacher Sioruo is really considerate. Snort. Mori Kogora snorted, did not say anything, and continued to read the newspaper. When he was not working, he usually just read the newspaper and drank. By the way, Sister Xylan, why do you call brother Sioruo a teacher? Conan asked suspiciously. He thought Sioruo was pursuing Xylan before, but after this period of time, Conan did not see Sioruo launching an offensive, so it was a little strange. It's teacher Sioruo, of course I have something to learn, kid, don't ask so many questions. Boom. Xylan punched Conan on the head. After knowing that Conan is Shinichi, Xylan doesn't feel the burden of hitting the child anymore. It hurts. Conan covered his head and retreated to the side, and gave Xylan a pitiful look, but this cuteness technique was useless in front of Xylan, who knew the truth. Hearing Xylan call her teacher, Sioruo felt a little helpless. He knew that Xylan wanted to be his assistant, to fight against the black organization with him, and let Conan return to his original state by the way. However, I have no relevant information about the black organization, and there are very few main lines in Conan's animation, so I can't help Xylan for a while. So the art museum, Xylan wanted to bring the topic back to the art museum. Don't think about art museums, I have to work. Xylan, you can go to your own business, Mori Kogora said, lighting a cigarette. That's right, Sister Xylan, I have to do my homework too. Conan was about to run away. Hearing these two people's words, Xiao Yan's forehead appeared a well character. Obviously both of them were free, but they refused to accompany her to the art museum. "You two wait for me." Boom. Mao Lilan's fist hit the table. A good table was smashed to the ground by Xiaolan's fist. A sense of terrifying threat pervaded the room. "Are you going?" Xiaolan asked with a threatening smile on her face. "Go. Go." Looking at the smashed table, Conan and Mori Kogora immediately changed their attitudes. Sioruo also watched the scene with a smile, because the scene of smashing the table with empty hands can only happen in the second dimension. However, looking at Xiaolan's strange power, Sioruo suddenly thought of something, and her eyes lit up. "Xiaolan, you have great strength," Sioruo suddenly said to Xiaolan. "Ah, teacher Sioruo, I have learned karate, so my strength is stronger than normal people," Xiaolan said shyly, rubbing the back of her head with her hands. "This one is bigger?" Looking at the smashed table, Conan complained in his heart. Sioruo remembered that Xiaolan seemed to be only 16 years old. To be able to possess such strength at the age of 16, Xiaolan might really be a very qualified genius. In this case, "Xiaolan, since you keep calling me teacher, I'm quite embarrassed that I don't teach you some things. In this case, I have a breathing technique that can strengthen your body, and I can teach you." Respiration. Conan pouted at the side. He usually likes to follow all kinds of news. He has also heard that there are many deceptive Kigong in Huaguo. This person is called Sioruo. He won't teach Xiaolan such things. "What breathing technique, teacher Sioruo?" Unlike Conan, Xiaolan is looking forward to what Sioruo will teach her. She feels that what Sioruo wants to teach her must not be ordinary. Sioruo paused for a moment before saying the name of the breathing technique. "What I want to teach you is water breathing. Breath of water. A breathing technique that can transform ordinary people. I can break the dimensional wall." Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 258. When Conan was on vacation on the weekend, the four from the Mori office were going to visit the art gallery. Sioruo took a look at the leaflet of the art museum. The location of the art museum is really not far from Maori's office, so it's no wonder that Xiaolan wanted to visit it. "Mr. Sioruo, the water breathing you taught is so profound, it's really difficult to do it." On the way to the art gallery, Mao Lilan said to Sioruo beside her. After knowing the method of water breathing, Mao Lilan tried to learn it, but after learning for a while, she couldn't find the technique and her progress was very slow. "It's okay, Xiaolan, this breathing method is difficult in itself, you can practice it when you're okay, don't be in a hurry," Sioruo said flatly from the side. "Yes, teacher Sioruo." Xiaolan nodded in response, and then, on the way, Xiaolan began to adjust her breathing. Although she didn't learn water breathing, just imitating the rhythmic breathing that Sioruo said, Xiaolan felt refreshed, and even her perception became much sharper. Sioruo didn't teach Xiaolan the sword technique of breathing water, so if you just learn to breathe, it's relatively easy to practice, and you can practice anytime, anywhere. Xiaolan's breathing quickly entered a rhythm, and Sioruo could feel it too. It probably won't be long before she can fully master the breathing of water. Generally speaking, it takes about a year to learn the breathing method. Of course, a real genius can shorten the time to 1 month. Sioruo thinks that Xiaolan may be a genius. He. Conan watched quietly from the side as Sioruo fooled Xiaolan. He has long felt that this person named Sioruo is talking about God, and he had this feeling when they met before, maybe he is a member of a certain religion. As a detective, Conan hates this kind of person the most. Conan, who was about to change his opinion of Sioruo, didn't like Sioruo anymore. "Sister Xiaolan, I saw on the news last time that many fake Qigong masters in Huaguo were knocked down by fake ones, and some fake masters were arrested. Is it true, Sister Xiaolan?" Conan asked Xiaolan seemingly unintentionally. Snapped. Xylan hit Conan's head with a knife. It hurt so much, Sister Xylan, why did you hit me again? Conan asked pitifully, holding the bag on his head. Xylan was still keeping her breathing rhythm at this time, and didn't answer, but just gave Conan a vicious look. But Xiaoruo touched Conan's head with a smile, and gently stroked the place where Conan was beaten just now. Because yin and yang people should be beaten, children should not be yin and yang. This guy. Conan looked at Xiaoruo's face and gritted his teeth. This liar, I will always expose his true colors one day. As long as this guy continues to lie, there will definitely be flaws, and when that time comes, I must make this guy look good. So many beautiful paintings. After Xylan came to the art gallery, she said in amazement. There are many paintings in the lobby of the art museum, but there are not many audiences in the art museum. Even if there are rumors that the armor is moving, there are still very few people visiting the art museum. At this time, Xiaoruo was also looking at the paintings in the art gallery, but, as an otaku who likes to watch animations and play games, Xiaoruo didn't appreciate these artworks very much. It was just to follow along, and soon, Xiaoruo was fascinated by the chrysanthemums on a painting. The chrysanthemums in this painting really look like chrysanthemums. Do you like the picture very much, sir? At this time, an old man who looked very old appeared behind Xiaoruo. This old man is the curator of the art museum. From the looks of it, it seems that Xiaoruo admired it too much and attracted his attention. Yes, the picture is beautiful. I also like this painting very much. No, I like all the paintings in this venue, said the old man looking at the paintings around him. May I ask who you are? Xylan looked at the old man who suddenly appeared and asked. The old man seemed to realize his rudeness. I am the curator here, my name is Okie, I'm sorry. Oh, it's Mr. Curator, Xylan said in surprise. Then, everyone, please enjoy it slowly, and I won't bother you. Just as the curator was about to leave, he suddenly saw an employee carrying the paintings without gloves, and shouted angrily, Kyobata, what are you doing? The sound was so loud that it surprised everyone around, but Xiaoruo knew that only those who really cared about artworks would have such a subconscious reaction. Kyobata, how many times have I told you that gloves must be worn when handling works, have you forgotten again? After being scolded, the employee who was scolded said sorry and left, while the curator called another person to carry the paintings. At this time, Xiaoruo also found out that the boss who was about to die in the original plot appeared, and he walked in front of the old man with a wicked smile on his face. Your place is still the same as usual. There are so few people, but it doesn't matter anymore. In 10 days, your place will be closed, and the rest of these days are left to take care of these broken copper and iron, ha 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 ha. Who is this person? Why is this? Xylan was a little puzzled, why this person was so arrogant in the art gallery. Soon, the staff on the side began to explain the relationship between the boss and the art gallery. Xiaoruo remembered this episode very clearly, because the boss died tragically, and it was exactly the same as a painting, very artistic, so it left a deep impression on him. This owner seems to be called Zhenzhong, who bought the art museum from the former owner of the art museum, but in a deceptive way. The former owner thought that Zhenzhong would continue to work as an art museum after buying the art museum. Unexpectedly, the purpose of this person is to convert an art gallery into a restaurant. It is precisely because of this that the curator of the art museum could not accept the fact that the art museum was about to disappear, so he thought of a way to kill the truth, and finally wanted to push the crime to the one who did not cherish the artwork and resold the art of the art museum Kubota body. Regarding this matter, Xiaoruo felt that she had better watch the show. He actually thinks that in this world, killing people has to pay a corresponding price. Although Xiaoruo has read a lot of Conan fanfiction, in this scene, he will save the curator because both Zhenzhong and Kubota are guilty. But Xiaoruo won't save her. the doujin that I made will be aired, and it will also be turned into a game. Rescuing the murderer and spreading incorrect views cannot happen, so let Conan find out the truth. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 259. Someone is dying? Brother Xiaoruo, why do you say someone is going to die? Conan looked at Xiaoruo in confusion. Intuition, my intuition is generally quite accurate, Xiaoruo said to Conan vaguely, touching her chin. What is going on? Conan looked at Xiaoruo, who left to appreciate the art after speaking, with doubts on his face. Why does this guy say that someone is going to die, casually? No, maybe he didn't just say it casually. There is no need for this guy to make such a joke. Could it be that someone wanted to prepare a murder plan in the art gallery, but he discovered it? Conan felt that there seemed to be such a possibility. Although what Xiaoruo said just now seemed like a casual sentence, Conan is a very rigorous person, and he didn't believe that Xiaoruo just said it casually. After all, although Conan doesn't like Xiaoruo very much, in Conan's eyes, Xiaoruo is definitely different from Mori Kogora, and he is a very observant person. Conan still remembers the words he heard when he waited for someone to go home that night after the Okino Yoko incident was resolved. Mr. Xiaoruo, you are really good. Before the police came, you knew that the deceased committed suicide. You are better than Dad, Xinyi, Mao Lilan said, looking at Xiaoruo adoringly. At that time, before the police came, when Xiaoruo comforted Okino Yoko, she told the truth in advance. But Conan didn't know it at the time. After hearing what Xiaolan said, he knew that Xiaoruo had already deduced the truth. Haha, luck. Xiaoruo just responded with a smile, and didn't say more. Conan remembered very clearly that at that time, that guy was drinking coffee with Yoko Okino, that is to say, at that time, he had already solved the truth of the case. He was faster than himself, and he didn't watch the opponents search for clues. From then on, Conan would no longer underestimate Xiaoruo. Back at the art gallery, Conan was still thinking about what Xiaoruo said. Since he said that, he must have observed something. What did Xiaoruo discover? We all came to the art museum together, and the information we got is the same. What is it? In this art gallery, did he find something, a murder weapon? Or did he find something wrong? Although Conan didn't know what Xiaoruo knew, but Conan focused his attention on the surroundings and observed the surroundings more carefully. After all, it is a matter of life and death, and Conan will not let go of any details around him. With a snap, Kubota accidentally dropped another helmet artwork on the ground. Boss Zhenzhong saw this scene, and looked at Kubota with a smile on his face. You are Kubota, right? I have heard all about your rumors. You should hurry up and prepare the money for me. Hateful. Hearing what Zhenzhong said, Kubota angrily threw the helmet aside again. This way of treating artworks is much ruder than before. Only this time, the old curator left without any response, saying you appreciate it slowly, and left. Conan was surprised. It's strange. Just now Kubota didn't wear gloves, and the curator was so angry. Now he treats the artwork so rudely, but he doesn't seem to see it. This curator is a little strange. Noticing the abnormal situation, Conan felt more and more that what Xiaoruo just said was not just casual talk. Conan, why are you standing there still? Xiaolan wanted to ask Conan to visit another exhibition area with her, but when Xiaolan came to Conan's side, she found that Conan was deep in thought, as if she didn't hear what she said. Xiaolan felt that Conan was thinking about something important, so she didn't bother him. Xiaoruo also noticed this. Conan, can you really detect the anomaly before the murderer does it? That would be much more interesting. No, I can't find any clues. Although there is indeed something wrong with the museum, how can it be deduced from a murder that didn't happen? Conan shook his head helplessly. he really couldn't think of anyone who looked like he wanted to kill someone. Because of this, Conan wondered, what exactly did Syaruo discover? Did Syaruo just say it casually, or did she say that her reasoning ability was really inferior to Syaruo's? Wow, this armor is so handsome. Xylan on the side suddenly exclaimed that she seemed to have seen a certain piece of art armor. Hearing Xylan's words, a flash of lightning appeared on the back of Conan's head. Armor, by the way, rumors about the museum. Conan finally thought of the reason why he accompanied Xylan to the art gallery. The main reason for coming to this art gallery was because there was a rumor that there was an armor inside the art gallery that would move at night. This rumor is really weird. Conan came to a young security guard of an art gallery and looked at the security guard curiously. Big brother, do you know the rumors about the art museum? I really want to know. The young security guard looked down and realized it was a child. He was not surprised, after all, he was a child and always liked to hear these bizarre stories. Little brother, you also know this rumor. Recently, many tourists came to visit our art gallery only after hearing this rumor. However, little brother, you really asked the right person. On the night when the armor was moving, I saw it with my own eyes. I see. Conan's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly asked, brother, what did you see at night? The young security guard thought back for a while, and seemed to be recalling what happened that night. That night I was patrolling the art gallery normally, because after the art gallery closed, all the lights were turned off, so the art gallery was quite dark at night, and I just brought a flashlight, and then, I clearly remembered, my flashlight caught a moving armor. It was really scary. Conan was a little surprised. Before, he thought that this rumor was just fake news released by the museum to attract tourists, but he could tell from some details of the young security guard's story that the security guard was not lying. In other words, the fact that the armor will move is real. There is definitely a deeper reason for such a bizarre thing to happen in an art museum. Big brother, did you notice anything else? Conan asked the security guard in front of him. What else did you notice? Let me think about it. The security guard thought about it carefully. By the way, I saw the armor moving several times at night, and the moving armor held a long sword in his hand. Looks quite sharp. That sword should also be a work of art in an art gallery. That's right, thank you, big brother. After Conan thanked him, his eyes gradually became sharper. As the information gradually increased, he felt more and more that someone really might want to commit crimes in the art gallery. Sharp swords, armor, night. In an art museum, outsiders generally don't come in that easily, and this situation has happened many times. There is a high probability that this rumor is made by the insiders of the art museum, and even if it is stolen, there is no need to wear armor to steal it. Therefore, there must be another purpose. Wait a moment. Conan seemed to have thought of something final, and his expression became serious. He looked up and saw a camera above the art gallery. If what Syaruo said is true, and he really found out that someone is going to organize a murder case in the art gallery, then based on this reasoning, the armor is moving, maybe it is the criminal's plan to kill at night. As for why he wears armor, just to avoid his face being spotted by the museum's cameras. Then, the one who wants to commit murder should be someone from the art gallery. In Conan's mind, everyone he saw just now flashed in his mind. The curator did act strangely just now. If he really wanted to kill someone, then the person who was killed should be. Conan suddenly raised his head and looked around the art museum. At this time, the curator, Kubota, and the boss Manika were all gone. I hope my reasoning is not true. If it is true, then someone will be in danger. Conan quickly found the young security guard he had just asked. Big brother, do you still remember? It's the moving armor you saw. In which room did you see it? Little brother, do you want to see a moving armor? I remember this very clearly. The young security guard pointed in the direction of the corridor. It's at the end of the corridor, in the exhibition room of hell. In that exhibition room, there is a beautiful painting called Heaven's Punishment. The picture-in-picture shows a knight killing a demon with a sword, and the knight's armor in the painting is placed in that room. Thank you. After Conan finished listening, he ran directly to the exhibition room of hell. Little brother, you can't run around in the art gallery. The security guard shouted at Conan from behind, but Conan didn't have the slightest intention to stop. Conan. Xiaolan also saw Conan running in the art gallery, and quickly followed. Conan has ignored all the sounds around him, and now he just wants to hurry to the showroom. I hope I'm wrong. If my reasoning is true, then the exhibition room in hell is the place chosen by the murderer. Conan rushed outside the exhibition room of hell and saw a sign that tourists are not allowed to enter. This sign did not want tourists to enter, but Conan completely ignored the sign and broke in directly. Ah! The moment he entered, Conan heard a scream. After entering, the exhibition hall of hell was really dim, but Conan could still see that a man wearing armor and holding a sword was trying to attack boss Zhenzhong. Zhenzhong had already been slashed by a sword. At this time, he clutched his wound, leaned against the wall in a panic, and looked at the armored man in front of him in horror. Do not kill me! Stop! Conan hurriedly yelled at the armored man. After realizing that his actions had been discovered, the armored man looked back at Conan, but he didn't stop what he was doing. Conan rushed forward to stop him, but he was too late to move. He could only watch the long sword stabbing the boss in the neck. Although the old curator is old, he is definitely a master of concealment. From the video in the original work, it can be seen that he is wearing armor weighing dozens of kilograms, and he can still nimbly kill and nail the truth to the wall. And made an appearance that is exactly the same as in the painting. It is impossible for ordinary middle-aged men to replicate this perfectly. Moreover, his relaxed and comfortable killing movements did not look like an old man at all. At this time, the armored man's sword was about to stab Zhenzhong in the neck, and it seemed that no one could save him. However, at that moment, Xiaoruo suddenly appeared in front of the armored man, raised two fingers, and clamped the sharp long sword. Two fingers clamped a long sword that stabbed with all its strength. This scene, like a plot in a martial arts movie, actually happened in reality. The armored man snorted, as if he didn't expect such a thing to happen. He desperately wanted to withdraw the long sword, but Xiaoruo's fingers were like iron tongs, motionless. Mr. Curator, I really didn't expect that you are so strong at such an age. Xiaoruo squeezed a little force with her two fingers, and snatched the long sword from the armored man. Ease of movement is like taking away a child's toy. Unexpectedly, I was discovered by you before I did it. The curator sighed helplessly, and took off his helmet. At this time, he already knew that he had no possibility of continuing to commit murder. Young man, how on earth did you know that I wanted to commit murder? I obviously didn't do too many suspicious actions before, and we just said a word. The curator looked at Xiaoruo, and now he wanted to know why he had exposed himself before he made a move. He had placed a no entry sign outside. If he hadn't found something, the other party would not have come this showroom. For this day, he has been planning for so long. In his opinion, this is already a foolproof plan. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be like this in the end. Where is it exposed? He couldn't figure it out at all. Hearing what the old curator said, Conan also looked at Xiaoruo. He was also very curious, how did Xiaoruo see it? After all, if he didn't have Xiaoruo's reminder, he wouldn't have guessed what happened next. Because of murderous intent. Xiaoruo held the long sword she had snatched from the hand of the old curator in her hand, and said calmly. When you saw Mr. Zhenzhong, your murderous intent was exposed. Is that so? Murderous, ha ha ha, the old curator couldn't help laughing, it was a helpless smile. I didn't expect that there are people like you in this world. Being able to sense the murderous aura, and the fact that the other party easily clamped his long sword with his 2 fingers just now, the old curator knew that he was really unlucky and met an expert. Sioruo didn't answer. Not long after, Xylan and Mori Kogora also arrived at the exhibition hall of hell, and saw the injured Mr. Manika and the old curator in armor. "Conan, what happened here? Someone is injured, call an ambulance." In the end, the police arrived, the old curator was also arrested, and the affairs of the art museum subsided. During the period, Mr. Zhenzhong was chopped and injured, but in the end he kept thanking Sioruo saved his life. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 260. In fact, Sioruo originally wanted to watch the drama of the museum case. After all, some people are going to die in the world of Conan. In the final analysis, Sioruo is just an outsider. For this world, Sioruo still has a feeling of being out of place, and she doesn't have much real sense of living in it. However, seeing Conan looking for clues so carefully because of his own words, Sioruo finally couldn't help but help Conan once, saving the person who was about to die. For Sioruo, it's just a matter of lifting a finger. I didn't expect such a thing to happen today. The curator seems to be such a good person, Mao Lilan said in a low tone. Mori Kogora shook his head, nothing is impossible. Many murderers don't look like murderers on the outside. Xylan, you should learn more from me. Xylan ignored her father's bragging and set her sights on Sioruo. Thanks to teacher Sioruo today, otherwise, someone would have an accident. I didn't expect teacher Sioruo to appear there in such a timely manner. It's okay, it's just luck, Sioruo responded with a smile. It's not luck. Conan looked at Sioruo's figure. At this time Conan was extremely wary of Sioruo. This guy clearly saw through at a glance that Mr. Curator was about to make a move. Obviously has always had a strong reasoning ability, but has been using luck as an excuse. After this incident, it is no longer possible for Conan to continue to treat Sioruo as an ordinary person. In Conan's mind, even if Sioruo is not a detective, his occupation is definitely not an ordinary person's occupation, especially the action of snatching the long sword. Not only the reasoning ability, but also the force of this guy is far beyond ordinary people. In Conan's eyes, Sioruo has always had a deep fog, which made him unable to see through it. As for the murderous intent to find the murderer, Conan felt that it was just Sioruo's excuse, because the murderous intent had no scientific basis at all. What the hell is this guy doing? However, I have to be more careful in the future, so that he can't see through my true identity. Conan thought silently. At this time, Conan still thought that he hadn't been exposed. Because of the murder incident, Xylan didn't want to continue visiting the art gallery, and everyone returned to the Maori office. The Maori office is definitely a good place to relax. As soon as Sioruo came back, she lay down on the sofa. Even Sioruo felt that Mori Kogora is really a person who can enjoy himself. When there is no commission, the whole day is rest time. When there is a commission, he can go to the scene, sleep and take the money to leave. By the way, where's Tom? Why didn't I see it? After returning to Maori's office, Xylan searched for a long time, but couldn't find Tom. Maybe it's somewhere to hide and rest. Sioruo also turned her head to look, but there was no trace of Tom. Because pets are not allowed in the art museum, Sioruo didn't bring Tom this time. When he left, Tom was still on the sofa in the Maori office, and he disappeared when he came back. Hey, where is my beer? Who stole it? Where did the thief steal my beer? Mori Kogora shouted angrily after opening the refrigerator. There are cat fur and cat paw prints near the refrigerator. Maybe Tom stole it. After all, it is the only one at home. Conan was at the scene. After observing it, he reasoned. Boom. Mori Kogoro hit Conan on the head. Why did you hit me? Conan was beaten, teary and aggrieved. Mori Kogoro glanced at Conan with disdain. Children can't reason, so don't imitate adults to reason. How could a cat steal my beer? Use your brains a little bit. Hee hee. Conan twitched his lips. He wouldn't have believed it before, but he saw it with his own eyes when he went to the bathroom at night. The cat named Tom opened the refrigerator and took a sausage for supper. But Conan didn't explain either. Mori Kogoro rubbed his head and thought for a while, then gave Conan some change. Maybe I remembered wrongly. I finished drinking the beer in the morning. Go to the convenience store across the street and buy some for me. Conan took the change from Mori Kogoro, and was a little speechless. He was beaten by this uncle and wanted to buy him wine. I really don't know how this uncle who was drunk every day gave birth to such an excellent daughter as Xiaolan. Tom seemed to have gone out, and came back late at night. It's just that when Tom came back, he walked staggeringly, as if he was drunk. Sioruo probably guessed that he should have drunk Kogoro Mori's beer, and went out to do something. Most likely he was looking for the little she-cat is gone. Looking at Tom like this, Sioruo always felt that Tom was a little lower than usual. Tom, are you missing Jerry? Now Tom and Jerry haven't seen each other for a long time. Although Sioruo usually asks Tom to go back to visit relatives and see his friends, the relationship between the two is really too good. They don't see each other often, and they still miss it a little. Sioruo felt that although Tom had a better life under his care, he might still miss the days when he was with Jerry. Tom has been with Sioruo for a long time. Looking at Tom's appearance at this time, Sioruo is also a little uncomfortable. Don't you think about Tom's thoughts yourself? Wait a moment. At this moment, Sioruo suddenly thought of a good idea. In a few days. In the past few days, the Mori office still has no commissions, so it is still a free day. However, today, Sioruo was not at the Maori office, as if she had gone out because of something. Have you heard? Teacher Sioruo bought the coffee shop downstairs, and now the owner of the coffee shop downstairs is already Teacher Sioruo. Xiaolan said to her father and Conan. Sister Xiaolan, is that the Poirot Cafe downstairs? Conan asked Xiaolan. He used to go to that cafe often. Yes, that's the one. I heard that the owner of that coffee shop is away all year round. Then Teacher Sioruo got in touch with the other party. After negotiating the price, he transferred it to him. Teacher Sioruo has been busy with this matter for the past few days. Xiaolan said to Conan. Huh? Really? Mori Kogoro also heard Xiaolan's words and put down the newspaper in his hand. He raised his head and glanced at Xiaolan. I also know the owner of that coffee shop. I usually don't see many people there. Can it make a profit? But Sioruo doesn't seem to care about the money. It's a good thing to buy the coffee shop. In the future you can drink coffee, ha 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 ha. Conan couldn't help wiping his sweat when he heard Kogoro Mori's laughter. Even if you think so, you can't say something like drinking coffee for nothing. Sioruo did indeed buy Poirot Cafe. Because of the 100 million yen last time, Sioruo still has a lot left in addition to some commission fees for Kogoro Mori. Although this Poirot Cafe is not like a coffee shop that can make a lot of money, after all, its location is good, just below the Maori office, and it will also be the place where some plots will take place, so it is not a loss to buy it. The general decoration of the cafe has not changed much. However, the name of the coffee shop has changed, and Sioruo gave it a new name. Dimensional Cafe. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 261. After the signboard of Dimension Cafe was changed, it opened peacefully. There were not too many big rewards for the opening, and there was no publicity, and even no one was sent out to distribute leaflets. After all, Sioruo opened this coffee shop not to make money. It doesn't matter if there are customers or not, even Sioruo thinks that it would be better if it can be quieter. What Sioruo needs is a quiet place. On the morning of the opening, Ran, Conan, and Kogoro Mori all came to join in. However, on the opening day, there were no customers in the Dimensional Cafe, and it looked empty. It looked like a shop that was about to lose money. Sioruo, look at the relationship between us. If I come here to drink coffee in the future, why not give me a discount? Kogoro sat on the chair and said with a big smile. Seeing Kogoro, Sioruo was not angry, and nodded with a smile. Of course, if Mr. Maori can come, he will definitely give a discount. In the future, Mr. Maori will get a 50% discount when he spends here. Ha ha ha, Sioruo, you are really too polite. Kogoro narrowed his eyes with a smile when he heard Sioruo's words. Mr. Sioruo, why did you think of opening a coffee shop? Mao Lilan asked in confusion. She still didn't understand why Sioruo suddenly wanted to open a coffee shop. After all, Sioruo didn't seem like someone who was short of money. How should I put it, when I was drinking coffee here that day, I thought this store was good, so I bought it. Besides, I might entertain some guests in the future, so this place is just right. After thinking about it, Sioruo explained. Hee, I bought it when I saw that the store was good. It's really rich. Conan, who was silent beside him, rolled his eyes when he heard Sioruo's words. He felt that Sioruo's words were really too casual. At this time, Xiaolan also noticed something. There was a table in the back of the Dimension Cafe, and it seemed that a cat and a mouse were drinking juice. It's just that the cat and the mouse are drinking a glass of juice, with 2 straws inserted into it, and they seem to be very close. That's Tom. Why is there a mouse? Xiaolan couldn't help asking after seeing this weird scene. The little mouse is called Jerry. It's Tom's good friend. They have been living together before. Since Jerry is Tom's friend, our coffee shop will naturally accept it, and Jerry will also become our coffee shop's friend. A member. Sioruo explained to Xiaolan. Sioruo didn't put Tom and Jerry together before, because she was afraid that the two would tear down the house. After all, the destructive power of these two would not be able to withstand the tearing down of the house. However, if it wasn't your own home that was demolished, then it didn't matter. In the world of Conan, no matter what I do, I have less worries. Even Sioruo can meet with the animation characters in the world of Conan. When Xiaolan heard Sioruo's story about the cat and the mouse, she couldn't help covering her mouth in surprise. So that's the case. Teacher Sioruo is so caring, and the cat and the mouse are friends. This story is so loving. Conan. Conan didn't know what to say at this time. He felt that he couldn't understand Sioruo's brain circuit at all. You raise rats in the coffee shop, can the sanitation really pass the test? And will there be customers coming? I guess they will be scared away by the rats. Conan complained frantically in his heart again. Mori Kogoro on the side was also speechless when he saw Sioruo's story. It is estimated that only rich people can do such a willful thing like opening a coffee shop like a mouse, but Mori Kogoro will also be talked about too much. While Sioruo was talking to Mori Kogoro and others, a woman with long black hair came from behind Sioruo with a professional smile on her face. Are you Mr. Xia's guests? Welcome, I am the store manager appointed by Mr. Xia. My name is Ma Yeling. You can call me Xiaoling. Xiaoling is the Xiaoling that Sioruo met when she was working in the world of Spirited Away. After Sioruo left, Xiaoling and Beilong had been in charge of the management of the soup house. Name. After Sioruo left the soup house, Xiaoling always wanted to repay Sioruo, but she never had the chance. Now, Sioruo has opened a coffee shop and usually has no time to manage it, So she needs to find someone who can manage it, so Xiaoruo just went to Xiaoling to ask, but she didn't expect Xiaoling to come here to help. According to Xiaoling, that is, she has long wanted to play in the human world, and it would be great if she could help Lord Xiaoruo. In the setting of Spirited Away, Xiaoling seems to be a fox monster. Hello. Mao Lilan and others also greeted Xiaoling. At this moment, Conan suddenly noticed something, that is, from the tone of voice, this Ma Yelling seemed to know Xiaoruo. If I start with this woman, I might be able to get some information about Xiaoruo. For Xiaoruo's identity, this is what Conan cares most about now. Afterwards, Mori Kogora, Amo Lilan and others ordered some coffee and breakfast. During the meal, Conan ran to Xiaoling who was working while Xiaoruo was not paying attention. Sister Xiaoling, did you and brother Xiaoruo know each other before? Conan asked innocently, pretending to be a child's voice. That's right, Mr. Xia and I know each other. What's the matter, little brother, do you have anything to ask? Xiaoling was not very wary of the kid Conan. Hearing Xiaoling's words, Conan's eyes lit up, and the hope of knowing Xiaoruo's identity was right in front of him. Well, how did Sister Xiaoling and brother Xiaoruo meet? I'm curious, what did brother Xiaoruo do before? He's so good, he seems to know everything, Conan said in an exaggerated tone pretending to be a primary school student. Said Mr. Xia, Xiaoruo is a very powerful person, Xiaoling was asked by Conan, as if recalling the scene when she was working in the soup house. Then what did brother Xiaoruo do before? Conan asked quickly. Mr. Xia, I used to be a chef, Xiaoling said after thinking about it. Conan didn't seem to expect this answer was very different from what he thought. Chef. Yes, Mr. Xia is the most powerful chef I have ever seen, and the dishes he cooks are also the best in the world. At this time, Xiaoruo appeared behind Conan at some point, and put his hand on Conan's head. Ah, my identity as a chef seems to have been exposed, Xiaoruo smiled and looked at Conan. Chef. Conan felt that there must be something wrong.